Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Chris, and all musicians. All musicians everywhere, but especially our musicians. Do you notice that you can actually listen to the words Chris sings? You can understand them. That blows me away because I often can't, so I appreciate that. And those words give me a little inspiration. Thank the Lord there's people out there like you. Really, that is what I want to talk about today. So, let me see if you all would put up my PowerPoint. There we go. Now, you don't have to worry about this one because it's big and there's a lot of words on it. But it's to show you the map of consciousness, which is by David R. Hawkins. And the deal about this map of consciousness, and might be a little clearer if you look behind you anyway, if you really want to read it. It is a construct of levels of consciousness. Okay, it's just a construct. And the thing I want to show is that the level in gray is kind of the level that each of us must go through our soul's evolution. And you see at the bottom there's guilt and there's fear. And then you get to the level of truth. Everything underneath, there's untruth or falsehood, and everything above, when you get to the level of courage, it's truth. And he also has a number, a logarithm for it. What I want to focus on is the part of the map where underneath there is falsehood, some words, pride, anger, and above is courage. So underneath, I would say that once any of us reach this level of truth, everything shifts. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to show us a shortcut to enlightenment. This is just a little part of the map. It's like the middle part of it, coming from with the courage level and on up to the top level. But what I want to talk about are the words I have highlighted. There's a shortcut to enlightenment. You can go through all these levels, and we probably all have to. But at any day, we can go from the level of empowerment and affirmation and courage. We can go all the right up to joy, which is a pretty high level, considering that the highest level is peace, bliss, illumination, and that's the level of the Christ, that's the level of the Buddha, or any avatar. That is the level of somebody who is self-realized on earth. And joy is hanging out right underneath that. And we can get to that level. In fact, probably everybody here has. That's the level of unconditional love. And my point is that we can choose it. No matter what level we're at, I think we have to be above the anger and the misery and the victimhood. We have to be above that level. That at any moment we can choose this joy. The process is this. Step away from your lizard brain. Stop fighting what is and bless the moment. Now, Karen Taylor Good is a New Thought musician, and she has an adorable song about bless her heart, and I'm going to pretend to be from the South for a little bit, where you say bless her heart when you really don't feel, just a way to say, she cut me off on that freeway. Bless her heart. She's looking pretty bad today. Bless her heart. Stuff like that. My sister, she just won't listen to me. Bless her heart. So we may not say it that way, and we may not say bless her heart like that, but each of us have some other phrase like that, right? Where we where we give, I guess I'm just going to call it a fake love, or a fake affirmation, or a fake blessing, where we don't mean it. So that's not the shortcut. I hate this so much sometimes myself, is you can't just say it. You have to mean it. Like, your whole self has to mean, bless the situation, no matter how stinky the situation is. And I know, like me, you have situations probably every day that get your lizard brain going. Things that do not automatically bring about joy in you. Whether it's we all have little stuff, and most of us have big stuff too. We have illness, we have work that may not be pleasant. We have family members that need our help. We have the world situation. We can look out in the world today and feel sad, afraid, miserable. We don't really have far to look. We can look on our phones and our computers for something that activates our lizard brain. And our actual spiritual job is to calm the lizard brain down and choose the love. To choose it in the middle of the unloving things. Whoops, that was just, this is trigger happy. This is the World Day of Prayer Through the Night photo that Kathy sent me. And to me, that is a symbol of choosing to jump to joy. And I want to start with some of the ways that you go from courage, affirmation, empowerment, all the way up to joy. All right. Affirmation and empowerment, that's a pretty powerful level. I chose a picture of somebody walking on hot coals. And because it's dramatic, because I haven't done it yet, and I have a feeling that someday I might. But that it is a definite choice over fear. It's definitely a phase of choosing to be brave, to choose your courage, and to be the strong person that you are, or the Christ self. It's the way to the Christ self. The next little part on that map, willingness and intention. So that little boy has an intention to save his dog. And he doesn't just have the intention, he has the willingness to do whatever it takes. So we want to have courage, and we want to have intention to be the best person we can be. We also want to have willingness to do whatever it takes. Intention by itself needs to be backed up by our willingness. And to me, that is just an absolutely beautiful example of, being willing to get wet. I suppose being willing to walk on fire is pretty good, too. Here comes the next step. Forgiveness. This is not a surprise to anybody in this room, whether you've heard me before or not. Forgiveness is an important step to joy. Right now, just think of your life. Have you forgiven everybody? Is there any little corner of your mind that's hanging on to some irritation or some resentment? Today, you could forgive them for a little bit. You could spend a little time forgiving them, and your vibration will rise. every time we forgive, it is as if we are opening our heart to make room for happiness and joy and for the person we really are, the sweet, giving, loving person, the Christ self, the Buddha self, our true self, which is who we came here to be. So, forgiveness. Love, reverence, revelation. This is the ineffable part. This is a choice you make to connect to spirit, ineffable, that is in you, all around you. I love how all of our hymns, the songs we sing together, sometimes we talk about Lord, sometimes we talk about God, sometimes we talk about spirit in, sometimes we talk about spirit out there. Today it was interesting. We talked about God, you are everything. God, you are the mountain. God, you are the ocean. All these levels of where we find all that is, of where we find God, where we find spirit. And this part, we can bring our heart and we can be willing and open to, we bring the reverence and spirit brings the revelation. This is something I wanted to also stress, that we show up with willingness, but we don't have to do it alone. It's not like we're walking across the mountain on one of those spindly ladders all by ourselves, right? Like you have to make it across all by yourself. Spirit, God, all that is, meets us more than halfway, okay? Like in A Course in Miracles, over and over again, that teaching talks about a little willingness. So it's real. Like when you extend, when we try and we bring ourselves to reverence and love and say, hey, I'm doing my part, you will feel the revelation. You will feel the connection. You will experience all that is. This is probably where I sound a lot like a preacher. You will feel it, people. But I don't know how else to say it because this part isn't logical and it doesn't follow it. There is no convincing. You just have to experience that because it's revelation. You can only experience it. You can read about it, but you can only experience it for it to have meaning for you. Now, the last thing I want to show a little picture of is joy. This is a picture of when some of the kids from our Sunday school, Uniteens, we went to a Uniteen retreat, and they were doing a little dance and singing, and I was filled with joy. I'm pretty sure at least, probably most of them were filled with joy, but you never know because you don't know inside somebody's heart. That brings me great joy. So that's why I showed that picture. So my agreement right now with Spirit is, and I have to keep remembering this because I so often think I'm in charge. I think I'm in charge of my life. I think I'm in charge of my husband. I think I'm in charge of this church. I think I'm in charge of dinner, And I've got to keep remembering I'm not in charge. That, in fact, things work so much better when I surrender. I surrender over to Spirit, to all that is. And when I show up with reverence in my heart and surrender, that's when the magic happens. And here's how you know it's working. You know it's working when joy arises regardless of the circumstances, If dinner is burned and you take a step back and you surrender and you can have that little bubble of joy, you connected. You're on the right, you're there. You're at the right, you're at that vibration. I don't want to say right and wrong. I'll just say you're at what you're aiming for. You know, you're at that place where you're connecting. And there is always an answer. Always. So, in order for this to work, you do have to be past the level of falsehood. You have to be in your own truth and be done with fooling yourself. Okay? You have to be done with fooling yourself. And you may need to start with this. What do I need right now in order to be present? In order to be available for my blessing, loving, and accepting. So remember, blessing is the shortcut. Okay? Seriously, it's the shortcut. Bless whatever is happening, whatever the circumstance. Blessing is the shortcut, and you may need to process, sometimes you can just jump there, right? I bless you, I bless this. I'm grateful for this. And sometimes you might need to say, what is it that I need to do to be present in this moment so that I can bless this? And then listen, The universe wants to help you along. The universe will let you know. So, keep asking, keep listening. You'll know you're there when the joy arises. Let's take an offering for unity. I invite you to put your tithe, your love offering, your gift, your credit card, donation in your hand. And let's say our affirmation together. Here we go. Divine love.